Ever wonder why Bastion is considered a bad hero at the higher ranks? Well, let's find out and get right into it. Bastion isn't seen often in the higher ranks due to the character being extremely counterable. However, it's not as easy for many players struggling in the metal ranks. Considering the fact that Bastion had a recent skin added to the game, I am sure that players have seen Bastion a bit more frequently in their games. Upon asking these players how they counter Bastion, their go-to answers usually consist of running a Sombra for EMP, which works, but is extremely inefficient when attempting to counter a Bastion. You don't have EMP every single fight, so you need to find ways to counter Bastion in the neutral. In other words, you need to find ways to counter Bastion without using ultimate abilities. So, what characters are the real counters to Bastion? It is first important that we discuss the two different playstyles that Bastion players tend to cycle between, the team player Bastion or the flank Bastion, how to counter them, and then how specific characters react to Bastion. The team player Bastion can be easily identified by being surrounded by shields or sitting on a payload with the team. If you think of this as the pirate ship composition, it is pretty much the same thing. My preferred way to counter this composition is to run into the enemy team with speed boost and overwhelm the enemy with defense matrix or Sigma's grasp, countering the Bastion from dealing any damage. In this situation, by using one tank cooldown, you are effectively taking the Bastion out of the game, making it a 6v5 temporarily until the Bastion is eliminated. Playing as a team is generally the best way to defeat a Bastion playing this way, but that isn't always accessible in ladder. Don't worry, however, there are a lot of different options you have as a single player to delete a Bastion, but we will go over that later. Let's now take the time to move on to the opposite playstyle, the flank Bastion. A flank Bastion playstyle is both easier and harder to counter than a team player Bastion. While team play is much more efficient at dealing against a pirate shipping Bastion, solo high value plays are much better at countering a flanking Bastion. For example, as Ana, you do a great job at sleeping flanking Bastions, but you fail heavily against Bastions behind shields, until the team allows you to hit an anti-nade by breaching the shields, whether they were broken or run past. When countering a flanking Bastion or anything in general, it is important that you stay mindful of your surroundings and clear corners. With this out of the way, let's move into how each character reacts towards Bastion and whether or not they are good choices when dealing with a Bastion. Instead of going into how each character can counter Bastion, we will go over the S tier and A tier characters seen here. The rest of the characters will have their own explanations on a Google Doc that is linked in the description. I felt as though going over the strongest characters in this scenario is more valuable instead of taking everyone's time away with the video. So let's start off with D.va. D.va is very fundamental in dealing with a Bastion. The problem with Bastion is not in his mobility or utility, it is the fact that his pure damage is crazy. When that is all he does for a team, taking that away is effectively killing the Bastion. So, by using defense matrix properly, it can give your team enough time to eradicate a Bastion or rotate away from the Bastion's line of sight. D.va excels at defeating team Bastions and is proficient at dealing with flank Bastions. Sigma is another great option when dealing with a Bastion. His kinetic grasp functions much like D.va's defense matrix, as well as gives him a shield to take into the fight after the team defeats the Bastion. On top of that, Sigma's rock can come in handy when dealing with a flanking Bastion as well. While he does lack speed, he has a lot more versatility compared to D.va when dealing with Bastions. While he isn't as good as D.va when dealing with a team Bastion, he is much better at dealing with flank Bastions. While Mei's Ice Wall can be easily broken by a Bastion if placed incorrectly, it can be the answer for teams that may be struggling if the placement is perfected. Walling a team playing Bastion above his shields on the payload can make him an easy target for any team, allowing you to regain control of the point and make it extremely difficult for the Bastion to reposition. Lucio is a must-have when dealing with a Bastion. Since you don't have a lot of time to rotate when dealing with a Bastion, you must utilize the speed boost. Closing the distance on Bastion is the name of the game in the neutral, so Lucio is your best friend when dealing with a Bastion and is a near must pick. Symmetra is another great option when dealing with a Bastion that oftentimes goes under the rug. Her teleporter can mitigate damage due to being able to rotate without even peeking the Bastion, which is crucial to taking him down effectively. Her wall also has an insane amount of HP, allowing for the team to take space that would otherwise be impossible. Teleporting on top of a Bastion isn't necessarily a great idea, since it can be easily destroyed by the enemy team. But don't let this lead you into the trap that Symmetra isn't great at defeating Bastions. While Genji may struggle at dealing with a team playing Bastion, he excels at defeating a flanking Bastion. Deflecting the Bastion's stream of bullets back into him can be devastating in 1v1 scenarios. However, even if the Bastion doesn't shoot the deflect, it has a 2-second uptime, allowing for the team to capitalize on the flank Bastion's downtime. This is extremely powerful, especially in role queue where you can't switch off of DPS to pick D.va or Sigma to counter Bastions. Reinhardt's main goal in any engagement is to close the distance on the enemy to commence a brawl, and that is exactly what you want to do when countering a team playing Bastion. With his shield, he allows the most time to rotate as a cohesive unit, making his extra swing damage an added bonus when the team reaches their destination. Much like Reinhardt, Reaper's main goal is to force a close engagement. Since the idea is to swarm the Bastion when he is playing with his team, Reaper excels with this playstyle. Reaper also does a great job at countering flanking Bastions. Since his Wraith form lasts for 3 seconds, he can distract a Bastion for a considerable amount of time. If the Bastion decides to look away, canceling the ability can mean a swift death for the Bastion, which allows for some serious outplay. While Ana doesn't have the best mobility or survivability on the go, she has a lot of tools when playing against a Bastion. Her sleep dart can be a quick and easy answer if a Bastion flanks a bit too hard or if a shield is misplaced. The biotic grenade, however, is much more useful and a much more consistent tool the better you get at it. Obviously, if you can close the distance on a team playing Bastion, you can hit a huge splash on the enemy team with ease, effectively carrying a fight. But what if your team isn't playing optimal tanks like Reinhardt or D.va and are playing characters like Winston or Wrecking Ball? This is where set nades come in. Set nades are extremely powerful engagement tools as well as early round ultimate generators. Essentially, by lining yourself up in different ways on various maps, you can throw grenades precisely to splash locations that would otherwise be blocked by shields. That being said, instead of teaching you all that in this video where the best spots are, I have a playlist you can find in the description to help you land more grenades and counter more Bastions. Zenyatta pumps out a lot of damage, which can be helpful in situations where your team may want to mirror the Bastion pick. In Bastion 1v1s, the shield war is incredibly important to win, and Zenyatta is the best support to do just that. The Orb of Discord makes the Bastion incredibly weak and easy to destroy, which can punish teams for making mistakes with shields or when a Bastion flanks just a bit too far. Use this to your advantage if your team is struggling with a Bastion. Since Bastion has to stay still to achieve his maximum value in Sentry mode, connecting stickies with Echo is extremely easy to accomplish. If all of the bombs are connected, 180 damage is dealt. However, factor in armor and it is a bit less. The point is, with a barrage of primary fire and sticky bombs, Bastion will take significant damage, allowing you to beam him down for a swift pick, even without a mercy pocket. While this is a bit difficult to pull off, it is a great option if your team isn't doing what they must to defeat a Bastion. While Sombra can hack Bastion out of his Sentry form, typically Bastion is playing around his team, so her hack can be easily cancelled. This makes her seem great on paper for countering Bastion, but not a practical counter for his character. Thus, she is not as strong as many players believe. While her ultimate is very strong at defeating Bastion, it isn't ideal as it takes a bit of time to charge up. That being said, if the Bastion tends to flank frequently, hacks can be much easier to connect, allowing you to find value quickly. Now that we have discussed many of the top characters for defeating Bastion, let's bring it all together. Keep in mind that not all stuns are created equally when countering Bastion. Only Pin, Shatter, Sleep, Hacks, Hooks, and Sig's Rock are capable of taking Bastion out of Sentry form. This means that Doom Punch, Kree Flash, Mayfreeze, and Brig Bash do not take Bastion out of Sentry form. Keep this in mind when against Bastion. Remember that all of the other characters will be explained in a separate document that you can find and view in the description whenever you need. So why is Bastion easy to counter at higher levels? Teamwork and a plethora of options you have at your disposal, no matter the role that you specialize in. Most high-level players have been playing for a considerable amount of time, so they have already gone through the struggles of dealing with many Bastion players. Countering a Bastion is something that you must learn very early on, but it is rather difficult if you are new to analyzing how Overwatch works. Hopefully this guide has helped you all today, and you leave here with a better understanding of how to defeat Bastion. That being said, thank you all so much for watching. This was a highly requested video, so let me know if it helped by giving it a like or commenting down below, as I love to help you all out. But until next time guys, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.